Welcome to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe alongside Ronnie Dahl in the studios of Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. We're also on Birmingham Area Municipal Access, 88.1 WBFH The Biff, and today we're on the Facebook page via Facebook Live with West Bloomfield Parks. And as always, I'm joined by Ronnie Dahl.
With that, Tyler, for those who may have been listening on the radio, we had a few technical glitches, but that's okay. That's what we go through.
It happens.
Look, it's so much more acceptable right now because we're in the middle of a pandemic and we are all remote and trying to navigate this crazy world of COVID-19.
Absolutely, yes. But we're all through it. We're good now, and we can get on to the regular show.
So with that, before we go, one last thing about the headlines is the Governor Whitmer is asking everyone in the state of Michigan to turn on your porch lights in honor of the COVID-19 victims. So tomorrow, which really marks the official day of the pandemic here in the state of Michigan, if you can turn on your porch lights from 8 until 9 p.m. on Wednesday to mark 1 year since the first known COVID-19 cases in Michigan, honor those lost to the pandemic. I think we can all do that as a way to just say we all remember. And hopefully we are on the back side of this and there is a new light in front of us because the vaccine is offering that hope. And with that, if we can jump into the program for the day today. With us right now, we are pleased to announce Deirdre Waterman with us. She is the mayor of City of Pontiac. Thank you, Mayor, for being with us. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here with you. It's almost 1 year anniversary.
Almost 1 year anniversary, but I will say I love your background. It's a beautiful site of the city of Pontiac.
Well, that just demonstrates how beautiful the city of Pontiac is, and I'm happy to be here and happy to be chosen as mayor for this fine city.
So as we begin to mark the 1 year anniversary of COVID-19 here within our boundaries of the state of Michigan, for the city of Pontiac, it's been a challenge, but also a blessing in some ways because you guys have continued on with some of your economic development programs. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, we're very happy to have done that. And as you said, the pandemic was a health glitch for all of us. And we found how to operate even in the face of the limitations and privations during that period. And we needed to do that because we kept moving forward with the progress that Pontiac has had. And as you talk about the economic development, we have 40 new building projects going on in the city as we speak right now. And that's the largest economic development growth of the city since the early days of General Motors. So that's saying quite a bit.
That is saying not just quite a bit, but you're doing this in the middle of a pandemic as well. So talk about some of those beginning challenges, but how you as a city government overcame some of those challenges.
Well, just as everyone else, when we were faced with a pandemic that made us have to change the way we operated, we thought very carefully. I worked with my department and division heads to devise strategies for being able to communicate and still operate effectively, but still health-wise safely, because that was the primary concern. And so we did that. And we found, like everyone else, that we found many modalities, many technical and logistical ways of operating that way. So we could still serve the public, still keep on the services going with the same quality, the same efficiency, and still keep people moving along with the progress we'd had in the economic development progress, including such things as, I said the 40 building project, but that includes several new housing developments because Pontiac now has become kind of a destination city for people to live and to work in. And so we were coming into a housing shortage. The average time to sell a home in Pontiac and a lot of our neighborhoods is 3 days. So that shows a lot of people who are now coming to work in the city wanted to live here too. So we've been beset with getting a number of different housing establishments and projects going on, in addition to the fact that the commercial and other projects such as the Village at Bloomfield, which is now a growing enterprise. It has a Menards, the parking lot is always full, as well as there'll be a Hampton Inn coming up, and there are 400 new housing units going up over there that are on a lovely marsh that's in Pontiac, along that Telegraph corridor, that entry to Pontiac. So that's one. Not to mention the fact that the great granddaddy of projects, the Amazon project, which is taking over the whole Silverdome site, all 127 acres. The first time in the United States that Amazon has brought both a distribution center and a fulfillment center to that same site. People have seen the fulfillment center going up. It's monstrous with all the technology that's being brought there. It is 4 times the square footage of the Silverdome, if you can imagine that. So that is going up as we speak. And they didn't miss a beat. They had a deadline that they set when they started. We were able to keep them moving along, and they're going to be opening that and turning that over to Amazon August 1st of this year. So we're right on time with that. And as the builders and developers and investors came to the city and said, hey, look, we know there's a pandemic, but we got a timeline because time is money. And so we said, well, we would meet that challenge. And so we've hired the necessary people, had the necessary logistics and technology in place to be able to support all those efforts. So nobody's had to slow down on behalf of the city of Pontiac because we were ready to move and we kept up with them.
There are so many questions right in that one answer that you had, and we can kind of start with the village of Bloomfield. Everyone knows I live in Kegel Harbor, so I'm your neighbor, right? So what happens in Pontiac happens in my neighborhood, and we are a community. But with that, this whole village of Bloomfield has been, I want to say it nice, but it's been just, it's been a mess since the very beginning. And we're going back years, right, when they started the project, and there was a sliver that was in various communities, and everyone was fighting over it. Because while I'm grateful to see the development there in the village of Bloomfield, it is not what was proposed, and it's not what was promised to us. And really what I envisioned was kind of what we see in the city of Rochester with that downtown outdoor shopping, right? I'm sorry, I want a movie theater a little bit closer than going to Birmingham and some of our other areas, because back in the day where Target was, sure, there used to be a movie theater there, right? So all of these great things and these great shops were coming to that spot, and along with that very high-end housing. I had a friend who was looking to buy a condo when they were still in, the phase of promoting it to the public. And some of those condos were starting at high 200s, low 300s. And then all the politicians got involved. It goes to court, and then the economy tanks, and we're sitting on this land that's a quarter built for years. So while it's great to have something there, it's not what was promised to the people that live in the community. So your response to that?
My response is, as I've told the citizens and the Pontiac community, and the greater Oakland County community, is that I can't go back and undo the past. That's not the skill set I have, but I can move on to the future. And you're right. And that whole saga of the acquisition of land, the annexation of the land from Bloomfield Township to the city of Pontiac to build that whole area, that happened way before, and it was fought in circuit court. They finally came up with something, and in the meantime, what happened was the economic downturn. So the original plan was no longer financially viable. In fact, the original developer went bankrupt, and for years that project stood there half-built. For 9 years, as a matter of fact. So it was quite a accomplishment to be able to work with Oakland County and to find a developer who was willing to take on that project and come up with what we have now. So, of course, it wasn't what was originally conceived before they had the economic downturn. It was a completely different developer who had to have a completely different concept for being able to revive that site and to keep it from looking like a ghost city for another 9 years. So it was Redico who came in and had an inspired site, and they were able to take that now, and that's a thriving commercial area. It wasn't what was conceived, but what is, 15 years later, given all the economic history that's gone on since then. So what is there now is something that is thriving, that seems to be drawing a lot of attention, that you see Henry Ford Hospital now is the fourth hospital chain now located in the city of Pontiac. They put an outpatient center there, which is quite lovely. We have a Planet Fitness, and we have some other retail and commercial establishments that are there. So from the look of the cars that crowd that parking lot day in and day out, you can see that it has quite a draw, and it does fulfill the need of this area of the population, and it's in keeping with all the things and the development that's going on along that telegraph corridor.
Really, though, I will say,
Yes.
because that's my area,
Yes.
we shop it every day. You've just added to it's like another strip mall. We have Menards, but we have Menards next to Lowe's, which is then 2 blocks down the street from Home Depot. We have an Aldi. It's just, you add it, there's nothing unique about it. It's nothing to really draw me in. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, so everyone went to Menards. It's been packed. It's been crazy. But I wonder what it's going to do for the feeling of our city and the overall long-term effect of bringing people to make this whole area a unique shopping area. Or are we going to try to leave that up to West Bloomfield, Sylvan Lake, and Kegel Harbor to develop now Orchard Lake to come up with that unique walkable community that we also wanted? I just want to go to the movie theaters and not drive like how many miles?
Yeah.
Or shopping. I don't want to go to Somerset. I hate going to Somerset.
Yeah. I was disappointed too that they couldn't keep that movie theater concept, but the whole movie theater industry, as you know, has changed. And then they've been, particularly by the pandemic, very hard hit. And the reality now is that the movie industry has had to take a little hiatus. And I'm sad for that. And I love the movie theaters. But when they came to the economic realities and came in with the people who were ready to sign contracts, when the developers needed to start the building projects, it was just that movie theaters had taken a turn. And so that they weren't able to come up with a contract or a vendor who was ready to sign that contract at the time. Redico was willing to develop that property. So I was sad too, but in fact, I've got my Fast and Furious sweatshirt I was going to wear today from my daughter, who was a Vin Diesel executive producer. And so, not to promote that, I understand.
We need her on the show. We'll take her on the show.
9 and 10 right now. She'd be happy to come and promote. So I think they're doing, Vin Diesel's now doing version 9 and 10. So the movie industry is not dead. But when's the last time anybody's been to a movie theater because of this pandemic? So that was just the reality of the time we were in. But the housing development over there, they've got 400 housing units, which are lovely. And some of them, they're starting to occupy them right now. And they look over that visage. And that's that kind of urban lifestyle that so many people are looking for now, and that we needed to provide additional housing stock in Pontiac. So that does that. So I would like to commend that area for what it is, maybe not what it was envisioned to be 20 years ago, but what is, a lot of things.
When you say 20 years ago, I'm like, oh my God, I'm that old that I've lived here in this community for that long, because I remember the very beginning of this whole saga. With that, Mayor, though, I will say the great thing about the housing, do you also think it's a great time to kind of capitalize on, because you have some of your neighboring communities, such as Sylvan Lake, that have fought bringing in some of these new housing developments? People are looking for that in our community because of the access to the lakes and the schools. Do you think that now that's a new opportunity for Pontiac?
All right. People are looking for the kinds of urban living that Pontiac affords, and some of the surrounding communities. We have a downtown, and that's unique in Oakland County. So we are building, and a lot of the projects that are going up are going around that downtown corridor. One of the things I'm going to sign very soon is closing the deal. We have a public-private partnership for developing that 2 towers and the garage with the amphitheater called the Phoenix Center, that we have found a public-private partnership equity partner to come and develop that with us and open that up again. That amphitheater is an 1,800 seat amphitheater. That's the only open air amphitheater still left in Oakland County of that size, the same size as Aretha Franklin Theater in Detroit. So that has been quiescent for a long time, ever since the days of the emergency manager. That's got a long storied history. And I'm very happy to have brought that into revitalization again and be signing the papers to close that deal. So that very soon, I hope to revitalize that. And that's also one of those things that make Pontiac a destination city. And I think that's one of the things that has enticed certain other attractions to find their way to Pontiac, such as you've heard, the rendition of the North American International Auto Show, which this year is called Montebello, is going to be in Pontiac, centered at our M1 concourse, which many people know about, and the city of Pontiac that's developed here. But it's going to have a ripple effect for the entire city. And not only is Montebello coming to the city of Pontiac, but also American Speedway follows that. So we have many things and many events that are coming to Pontiac because of the new narrative we have in the city that is making people know that this is a destination city now with many attractions. We've got a transportation museum that will be opening soon that features the whole history of the automobile industry, particular Pontiac cars. Surprise, surprise, where did cheap Pontiac get the name for the car? So those are things that are coming to Pontiac and that have been happening and developing even under the pandemic and much before. And I've been very happy to be a partner in these things developing and helping to shepherd these projects through. And so when we celebrate that 1 year anniversary, that will also be 1 year of ways in which we've found to continue to develop and continue to find ways to make this an attractive community, livable community, safe community, as we're developing all those various entities that I've talked about.
I really feel like Pontiac has been overshadowed by Detroit and all of the events that are going on in Detroit, and Detroit being tagged as the comeback city because Pontiac has so many other things going on as well. And I know some organizations have struggled to get some of the grants for Pontiac and their work there because they were going to Detroit first, but you have maintained and you've gone on. How important is it to the city to, number one, have some of these big companies such as Amazon come into the city, but also M1 Concourse is brilliant, and it's their story is brilliant, and you add that with Amazon. Could this be the change that the city of Pontiac needs to reinvent itself?
Yes, and yes, and yes. And I talk about it. You talk about it reinventing itself. I think you're right on, spot on with that. Pontiac used to be known as the hole in the donut, with Pontiac being in the center of Oakland County and the prosperity all around us. One of the things as mayor, I rejected that notion that we were the hole in anybody's donut. We were a vital, resilient city with many assets and many benefits. And so that's becoming known. And we're making that true every day with all the projects that are either in progress or that are coming to the city of Pontiac, and that we're attracting that new narrative about what Pontiac is in the face of Oakland County. We're claiming our rightful title, our rightful seat as the county of Oakland, as the county seat of Oakland County. And we're not the hole in the donut anymore. We're a very thriving, vital, important metropolis that has many benefits, and people are finding that out every day.
There's been so much effort to re-image the city of Pontiac, but I know people who live there or who moved there, and one thing that they are taken aback by is, number one, their car insurance, their car titles, their car, everything. The price of insurance goes up when you have a Pontiac address. And we know this has been a big hot button issue in the city of Detroit, but we're really not hearing about that in Pontiac. Have you talked to any residents that have moved into the city that are kind of sticker shocked in this arena?
I think it is true, and that's the same thing that Detroit is experiencing. So Mayor Duggan and I have been on the same kind of lobbying effort to reach some happy medium about that and the right kind of legislation. Something was secured and coming up as July 1st was introduced by the legislature. But one of the things in Pontiac is that's balanced by the fact that so much of what is here is still very affordable. So what people can get in terms of property values that are increasing by double digits every year for the last 4 years now, but that's still very much than what they can get for the same dollar in other surrounding communities. So whatever that is in terms of the livable utilities and things like that are very much offset by the fact that what is obtainable for the same dollar here in Pontiac is far more in proportion to what they have in other surrounding communities.
And there are so many beautiful neighborhoods in the city of Pontiac, some historic neighborhoods as well. If we could take a moment of your time to talk about some of the marijuana dispensaries that are trying to move into the city of Pontiac. There's been back and forth, and it's been a long time coming and a lot of discussion. Where do things stand on that front? Because I do know people that own businesses in that downtown arena that's trying to thrive, but there have been businesses that have been pushed out because the owners were waiting to hear back from the city of Pontiac whether or not they're going to be approved to turn their businesses or their facilities, their buildings, into a marijuana dispensary. So instead of renewing a lease, some of these businesses are moving from the downtown area, and we are starting to see more open buildings, empty spaces there in the downtown area. Where do things stand on that front?
The voters passed a referendum in November 2018 to bring medical marijuana to the city. The city council opted out of recreational marijuana for now, but in the referendum that was passed, that was brought by an outside group to the city, the power to go through the process and to bring these medical marijuana facilities to the city was in the hands of the city clerk. And so he's been inundated with the changes and the logistics and the all the wherewithal of getting that done. And it's taken him this 2 years or so to kind of get a process in place. We've supported him in every way we could, executive-wise, because we realized a lot of people were waiting and had so many buildings optioned off, just waiting for that process to go through. So I'm happy to say the clerk is now finally getting that process completed. He's just now announcing some of the awards for particular one of the overlay districts, and we hope that soon after he will be announcing the other awards, so that what the voters passed by referendum in the city of Pontiac will come to pass, and the people have been waiting and waiting and waiting to see what was going to happen with their applications will now have some answers so they can move forward with that. And then we won't have people just sitting on property waiting to see if they will be one of the lucky ones who will get one of the licenses.
That's great to know. How many licenses have been approved for approval, and how many applications have you received, if you even know that number? I'm sorry, it's kind of off the top of your head, but.
Yes, well, the referendum allowed for a cap of 20 provisioning centers. As far as the other kinds of facilities, such as the secure transporters, the growers, the processors, the 4 other industries, those were not limited. As long as people could file an application and meet the criteria for a license, then they could be granted a license. But what we did establish in Pontiac were certain overlay districts where we particularly wanted these kinds of industries to be congregated and where we wanted that economic development. So in our protocol that of the dispensing center, provisioning centers rather, there could be a maximum of 5 located in our downtown. And then there were another overlay district called the Cesar Chavez area. 5 could be located there, 5 could be located at large throughout the city, and then 5 could be located in the other overlay district that was in the city. But as I said, the clerk has announced that for the Cesar Chavez, and shortly we think he will announce the ones for the downtown and for the other overlay districts, and then hopefully at the at large. So people can have some answers, and the citizens can have the realization of what they passed over 2 years ago. Altogether, I think clerk's office has probably received about 127 applications for provisioning centers. And I don't know how many. He continues to receive on a regular basis applications for other facilities. I don't have the correct number right now of how many in total have been received for the other kinds of facilities.
But I think it's great that you and your members of your administration and city council are working together to make this a smart move for the entire city overall. So when you say shortly, what's the time frame? The next week, the next month, the next 3 months?
Well, unfortunately, as I told you, the city clerk, in this case, it's our interim clerk, Garland Doyle, is the one in whom all that has been placed in the hands of, and he's kind of built his whole process and procedure and brought in the experts he wants to do. So, unfortunately, you have the wrong person here to answer that question for you. And so I would like to know that myself. So I'll listen if you bring him in for an interview and find out what is in his mind set about how he wants to move and progress to getting these licenses granted.
Well, Mayor, we so appreciate your time. It does really seem like some great things are happening there in the city of Pontiac, which will lift up our entire community as well. So we appreciate all the work that you've been doing. Anything that we maybe didn't touch upon in the interview that you want to share with us before we say goodbye?
Well, I'm just happy that we are part of the Oakland County community, that we have such good neighbors. I think we have great relationships, and because the borders between Keego Harbor and Pontiac and Waterford and the surrounding communities are all intermingled, and I think we all benefit from the economic development of the other communities. So we're part of being that larger community, the larger Oakland County area, and we just want to continue to have that good neighbor relationship. And that what's good for one is good for all, and we continue to have that camaraderie.
Very well said.
Always to be good with you. All right.
It's great to have you with us, too. I can't wait for the entire downtown Pontiac area to thrive. For me, it'd be great to see people, instead of thinking they have to go to downtown Detroit to go to restaurants once they fully open and experience that nightlife, that we go right here in our neighborhood in Pontiac and support local. Mayor Deirdre Waterman with us here on the Megacast. She is the mayor for the fine city of Pontiac. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Always enjoy being with you.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast, and when we come back, we'll be speaking with the owner for Canterbury Village. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
Perry tested positive for COVID-19. Emma was exposed to a friend who's positive. Willa's waiting on test results. After any contact with COVID-19, or if you test positive, stay home for at least 10 days. If you live with others, keep your distance and wear a mask. Help Michigan contain COVID-19. Visit michigan.gov/contain-COVID.
Hi, my name is Kurt Lawson, and I'm the Public Information Officer for West Bloomfield Township. We wanted to reach out to you, our older adults, to provide information that you may find useful during this difficult time. We want to ensure you that West Bloomfield Town Hall, our Waters and Utility Department, West Bloomfield Parks, and our police and fire departments continue to work hard on your behalf. Information and resources can be found on the Township website, the police Facebook and Twitter, or call West Bloomfield Park's COVID-19 Help Hotline. Please remember to keep your social distance of at least 6 feet, wear facial coverings when you leave your home, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap. These precautions will help keep you safe during these difficult times.
Back with us here on the Megacast. As a quick reminder, you can always catch us Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon. Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access. If you have cable, thank you. A portion of your fee helps support programming such as this. Tune us in, Channel 15 if you have Comcast, 99 on AT&T. You can also listen to us on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. And then today we also want to say thank you to the West Bloomfield Parks Department for allowing us to live stream today's edition of the Megacast on their Facebook page. So we want to say thank you to them. Tyler, back at Halloween. I'm a Halloween fanatic.
Yes, you are.
I'm a little crazy about Halloween, but you couldn't celebrate Halloween like we used to be able to celebrate Halloween.
Of course.
The highlight of my Halloween season was going to the Canterbury Village. We were able to snag a couple tickets because they had like a Halloween extravaganza out at the village. It was amazing and so much fun. And we've all had to realign and change the way we're operating during this time. And with us now, Keith Aldridge. He's the owner for Canterbury Village with us here on the Megacast. Great to have you with us.
How you doing today?
So I have to say thank you because Halloween we had so much fun. I know you had a few things over the Christmas holidays. We weren't able to snag tickets for that. But how are things going? Because it seems like these events have been very popular for the village.
They have the Halloween stroll and the holiday stroll went very, very well for us. Families loved it. It was obviously we had to reinvent ourselves in 2020 with everything going on. So what's better than getting together with the family and doing stuff outside that's fun and entertaining at a very minimal price. So very good stuff for us.
So what do you have coming up?
Well, we have a dinosaur stroll coming up. And it's going to be pretty cool. These are really high-end dinosaurs. They're the same ones that you would see at any of the top amusement parks, not only in the country, but the world. And they're just finishing our build right now, and they should be on a ship from China on Monday, Tuesday next week, and we'll be ready for the end of May for our big dinosaur stroll.
So Keith, I'm wondering, what is your brainstorming session like when you're trying to come up with not only, the ideas for some of these programs that you're putting on, but also to actually implement it and get it into progress and sell the tickets to get the public in the seats?
Well, we have a very creative team. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that are a part of this. It's just not me. We have some really interesting and creative people. We got a great marketing team, great social media team. And, the dinosaurs isn't necessarily an original quote unquote idea. They did have something like this at DTE last year. And then obviously if you go around and just see different things throughout the country, kids love this thing, and we're like, okay, let's make the plunge, and we've already launched tickets and they're selling pretty well. So hopefully everything goes well on the steamline ships over to America, and the families of Oakland County and Metro Detroit have a great time with us.
So you've had to become very creative throughout the pandemic. We are now starting to see a little bit loosening on some of the restrictions, because at the end of the day, you're still a shopping destination and a restaurant destination. How are things on that side of the business?
Actually been pretty good, because we did a lot of outdoor markets last year, which really basically saved our business. So we've really taken that made in Michigan feel, that small vendor feel, and just have those people out on the weekends, and our customers have been very open to it. My 38,000 square foot restaurant is a whole different story. I probably would rather not comment on that, but it's been a real nightmare. And I know you said you like Halloween, so actually I'm in the middle of talking with a high-end Halloween builder in St. Louis to possibly change my whole restaurant concept to a haunted house and get out of the restaurant business. So we'll see how that comes together here over the next couple of weeks and months.
Because the restaurant business right now, everyone is so concerned about what if there are more shutdowns, and it's trying to recover those costs as well. It can be a challenge, and you're not the only one who has suffered throughout this pandemic. But I will say, I'm down for a haunted house. But can you sell that year round?
Could you repeat that, please?
It said, I'm down for a haunted house, but how would that work year round with that space?
Well, what I'm looking at doing is doing kind of 3D panels that you can switch out to different things, like a Christmas stroll inside, Easter Bunny stroll inside, pirate stroll inside, superheroes. So it could be very interactive and very interchangeable, so we can get a lot of use out of it over the course of a year.
Keith Aldridge with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner for Canterbury Village. You were one smart marketing cookie to come up with something like that, because people are always looking for new things to do. And have you found that even more so in the middle of the pandemic?
100%. Families are really looking for family things to do at a very reasonable price. Obviously, our strolls are priced at $10. I mean, you can get a hot dog or a brat for $4 or $5 at the barbecue afterwards. So it's really what quote unquote a cheap date to bring the family of four to Canterbury Village, and we're all about the strollers and the dog leashes. That's kind of our new motto at Canterbury. So Canterbury Village, home of the stroller and home of the dog leash.
I love that, because, we have a rescue dog, and part of her training is to try to take her out in public as much as possible, because we're still working on her people skills. She's much better on her doggy skills, but her people skills challenged, and we need to get her out so much more. And these are great opportunities. But what do you think? We know about the downfall and the downturn. We're a year into this now this week with the crisis. But are there some positives that have come out of this for you and the village that you think is going to help you thrive past the pandemic?
100%. Instead of, I guess, quote unquote, stuck in our foreheads and just, saying, throw in the towel, we had to think outside the box, and our Michigan outdoor markets, what we call them open air markets, were very, very successful. And then obviously our strolls just took off, and we'll do the dinosaur stroll coming up. We're going to do a medieval stroll. We're even talking about a superhero stroll, and then obviously come back with a Halloween and the holiday strolls, which are great family events. So it really pushed us to get creative, and I think that these have a long-term benefit or a long-term shelf life for Canterbury, because families are always looking for something to do, and hopefully Oakland County keeps having young families and people keep having babies, because that's our customer.
That is so fun. And I will say, when we went for Halloween, Tyler, it was a blast, but there were so many families out there as well. And you guys did such an amazing job of putting on the stroll. What is the process like behind the scenes to implement some of these strolls to attract the crowds? And how much does it add to your bottom line by doing that?
It's been financially beneficial for us, I will say that. So it's been good. It's, kept Canterbury Village afloat and our family afloat, which is, knock on wood, great.
Which we love hearing. We need success stories right now, too, just so you know. So success stories lift us up. So.
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't want to be, I'd like to be humble as well, but behind the scenes, people don't see, but we have probably 75 people behind the scenes working on any given evening, between actors, between front office staff, between back-end staff. All the actors have to get ready. We have a huge actor coordinator. So it's even though it kind of looks like a small mom and pop operation, it's actually gotten to be pretty big business for us. And, when you have that many people logistically on site, you got to be on it, and I have some great team members, and we really worked hard in the last fourth quarter, and things paid off for us, which is luckily great. And it's kind of funny, we didn't with the holiday stroll, people didn't really know what it was, and then our first evening was with Jay Towers to do a charity thing with him. And Fox 2 was fantastic. We raised $5,000 for Jay's Juniors. And as soon as that went out on social media, tickets went crazy. They saw what we were doing with the families and the fun activities. And then with Dino Stroll, we really have no video of the stroll right now to promote. except for dinosaurs jumping around in a warehouse or in a factory in China. But people know what we're going to do and the quality that we bring. So tickets are already selling well. Our first kickoff night is May 20th, and we're teaming up with J Juniors again. Hopefully we hit the five-figure figure within this time for the kids that he takes to Disneyland, the sick families or the sick children with the families and whatnot. So I'm really, really looking forward to that evening, to be honest with you.
So much fun. Keith Aldridge with us here on the Megacast. He's with Canterbury Village. And Keith, how about the actual shops within the village? Are they thriving during this? Because so many times people may come out for the event, but are they going into the shops and actually spending their money as well?
They are, which, they're all local mom and pop shops at Canterbury. Before the start of the pandemic, we had, quite a bit of vacancy. And then obviously what we started doing, I have no vacancy left. Actually, I just converted one of our bathrooms into a small shop for somebody. It sounds funny, but it's going to look very, very nice, but I'm out of room. We are probably the only destination or shopping destination in Michigan that was actually up in November and December. Brick and mortar, not talking the internet, but brick and mortar that was actually up from the previous year. And our team of shop owners, they did very well, and we had some great ones on site.
I love that you've been so creative throughout this time, but of course the big holiday is coming up. Along with being a Halloween fanatic, I'm a fanatic for St. Patrick's Day, and my typical Corktown parade has been canceled again this year. Oh, no. So do you guys have anything going on to attract crazy leprechauns like myself?
Yep, this weekend we actually have our Lucky Leprechaun Day. So kids go out and find coins throughout the village and then redeem those coins at any of the shops, and they get little treats and stuff. We'll have live music on Saturday and Sunday. We have food trucks out there. We have a taco truck. We have a barbecue type grill truck. We have the fire pits going, and everybody does have to register online, and the tickets are very strong on bigtickets.com right now. It's going to be a crazy afternoon for us on Saturday out there.
So when you say kids, is there an age limit on kids, and are tutus welcome?
No, there's no age limit on kids, and there's going to be a lot of parents out there having a good time, probably with their green on and enjoying the. Obviously, can you believe? Obviously Detroit's such a huge St. Patty's town that 2 years in a row we really won't have any huge parties. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
It really is. You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. We're speaking with Keith Aldridge. He is the owner of Canterbury Village. And I think so many of us are so disappointed that we're trying to find other ways to celebrate St. Patrick's Day because, typically before I had my niece and nephew when they were kids, I would take them to some of these events and they'd be my excuse. But now they're like college kids. And they're like, yeah, we're not hanging with you, Aunt Ronnie. So I'm like, well, but I guess I could bring my dog. Can I put my dog in a tutu?
Sure. 100%. Bring your dog this weekend and put him in the tutu and have some fun. And I don't think we're going to have any green beer, but it's going to be a lot of fun with the live music and fire pits and, just having a good old time.
Yeah, Keith, it's been so great having you with us because we love success stories such as yours during the pandemic because so many people are struggling right now. And we're so happy to see such an entity such as yours right here in our backyard that you found ways to survive the pandemic, and hopefully this will help you on a continued path of success. So it's been great having you with us.
Well, thank you very much. And yep, I hope we can do our big food events this year, our Taco Fest, our Rib Fest, and the community really loves those in 2019. So hopefully things will loosen up. Hopefully these vaccinations will, really help the older community and get us back on track. That's for sure.
We so hope so as well. Keith Aldridge, he is the owner of Canterbury Village. If you haven't been out there, they have so many, not only great events going on, but also so many great local shops. And we need to remember to support local during the pandemic, because we know the big box stores and Amazon, they're thriving and they have no problem surviving. Let's support local during this time, and visiting Canterbury Village is a great way to do so. Keith, thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Have a great St. Patty's Day.
You too. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, Wendy Jackson will be joining us. She is with the Detroit program from the Kresge Foundation. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
As rivals, we don't always see eye to eye.
Like who scored the best recruits?
Who's going to be who?
And whether we wear green or blue.
But one thing we can all agree on: to help stop the spread of COVID-19, wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Wear a mask.
The ball's in your court, Michigan.
89.3 Lakes FM invites you to submit nominations for the Greater West Bloomfield Michigan Week Community Awards, now until Monday, March 8th at 11:59 p.m. Nominate someone you know in the community who is making a difference in Greater West Bloomfield as we celebrate our local volunteers. To learn more and make nominations, visit MichiganWeek.org and join us for the Michigan Week Community Awards May 19th on 89.3 Lakes FM.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faust, the Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. The most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of illness is to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Follow these 6 easy steps every time you wash your hands. Step 1, turn on the sink and wet your hands with warm water. Step 2, apply soap to your hands and lather between your fingers, under your nails, and the front and back of your hands and wrists. Step 3, wash your hands by scrubbing them together for at least 20 seconds. Step 4, rinse your hands with warm, clean water. And step 5, dry your hands with a clean cloth towel, a paper towel, or hot air blow dryer. If you're using a cloth towel, make sure to change it often. For handheld faucets, turn off the water using a paper towel instead of your bare hand. Step 6, if you're using a paper towel, throw it away. Practice healthy habits like washing your hands after coughing or sneezing into them to keep you and others healthy. Go to oakgov.com/health or call Nurse on Call at 1-800-848-5533 to learn more.
Thank you for being with us on the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios alongside Mr. Tyler Keith. My apologies to our next guest for running a little bit late. We appreciate you taking time to hang with us. But when it comes to success stories, we like to highlight those, because I think 1 year into the pandemic, we've all been bogged down in so much sadness in the pandemic. So when we have a business that has been able to survive and succeed, we'd like to highlight them, and hopefully it lifts the community up. But another organization that is dedicating to lifting up the community, the Kresge Foundation. They've been working since 1924 to promote human progress, making a difference in the lives of those that live in cities who lack access to opportunity. And with that, if we could bring in Wendy Jackson, she's the managing director for the Detroit program, the Kresge Foundation. Wendy, thank you again for hanging with us. Our apologies for being late.
Oh, not a problem at all, Ronnie. Thanks for having me.
So can I ask, are you working from home?
Yes, I'm working from my home here in Northwest Detroit.
For those that are listening on the radio, you can't see the video, but you have a beautiful library behind you. I just want to get lost in your library. Like, I would go in there and not come out all day.
Of course.
Well, thank you. It's one of the reasons why we bought this house. I think we've been here a little bit over 20 years. And yeah, the library was definitely the selling feature. But as I said, I live in Northwest Detroit in an area where we have just gorgeous older brick homes, and most of them have libraries like this. So it's been a nice place to be if you had to be somewhere during a pandemic.
Oh gosh, and you can get lost in the books forever. With that though, you are the managing director for Detroit program, which is part of the Kresge Foundation. If we can kind of start at the top, an overview of the Kresge Foundation? I know it's been around since 1924, but what is its mission?
Yes, I'd be happy to. We were founded in 1924 by Sebastian S. Kresge, and your listeners may know that name. He was the founder of the Kmart Corporation. And so he founded us with a very broad mission of promoting human progress. And since that time, we have really focused on a mission that expands opportunity in American cities. So today, we have 8 program areas. We're a national foundation, and we also have a program in South Africa. But we have 8 program areas at the foundation. And our Detroit program, our hometown program, is the signature place-based program at Kresge. And here we obviously expand on our mission by focusing on expanding opportunity for Detroiters.
You've been around for so long and you've done so much good for the people of Detroit, but also for this region. But the need is also great. How do you pick and choose what areas you're going to focus on?
Yes, so we're very fortunate. We have the opportunity to invest in the city of Detroit and in some parts of the region in about $30 to $35 million a year. So we have a pretty significant budget. And as you indicated, the need is great. But we've been able to identify a strategy really focused on community progress, particularly in the city of Detroit, that lifts up the areas of energy that are underway for the city's recovery and transformation. So we're focused on areas such as environmental sustainability, arts and culture, neighborhood revitalization, transit, health, human services, early childhood education and development. So we're very fortunate to be able to focus in areas such as those and have done so for about the last decade.
So why is it so important for people that maybe don't live in the city of Detroit to be passionate and involved in the work that your organization is doing in the city of Detroit?
Well, in many ways, cities are the economic engine of our communities, and we feel the same about Detroit. It is the heartbeat or the core of the region. And so as the region prospers, Detroit is a critical component of that. And as Detroit prospers, the full region will prosper. So for those that don't live in the city, it's important to be connected and to pay attention and to support the ongoing recovery of Detroit.
Wendy Jackson with us here on the Megacast. She is the managing director for Detroit program, the Kresge Foundation. And can you explain to us more about the Detroit program versus the Kresge Foundation? It's an underline of the Kresge, right?
Well, at Kresge, we have 6 kind of national multidisciplinary programs that focus on issues such as the environment or education or arts and culture, so on and so forth. And then we have a focus on places, and Detroit is our signature place-based program. It's our hometown as well. So another reason why we pay careful attention and make sure that we invest significantly in the work here in Detroit. But we are a foundation with a mission focused on cities. So in addition to Detroit, we're working right now in New Orleans and Memphis and Fresno, California. But again, Detroit is kind of the hub and spoke of what we do in places across the country. And with that, we have been really, I think, laser focused on the city's recovery and revitalization, and doing that across a number of different issue areas and disciplines. But most recently, our work has really centered on neighborhood revitalization and neighborhood recovery in Detroit. And so we're working deeply in neighborhoods across the city on just supporting organizations that are working to expand opportunity at the neighborhood level, such as block clubs, community development organizations. We're doing a lot right now around small businesses, particularly with the pandemic, and making sure that small businesses have the resources that they need to recover from what they've experienced over the last year. And so it's a very broad spectrum of work that we're doing.
But Wendy, I have to say that thank you for your organization putting the attention on the neighborhoods, because there's been so much focus on the city of Detroit and the downtown area as being the comeback city. And as someone who has reported and worked so much with the people of Detroit, it was the neighborhoods that felt like they were forgotten. And we're talking about people that bought into a neighborhood when it was thriving, and within 5 to 10 years, they may be the last one on the block, and all of the houses were abandoned, and then they felt like they were forgotten. And it was so hard for some of these people to just pick up and move, because you still owe so much on your house, and they didn't give up on their neighborhoods. So thank you for not giving up on them and not giving up on their neighborhoods. But your mission is somewhat broad when we're talking about the neighborhoods, and there are so many neighborhoods. We're talking about 138 square miles of Detroit. I think the downtown area is only 5 point something square miles. How do you get the most impact out of the dollars that you have? Because we are in the middle of a pandemic, and I would imagine resources are a little bit tight right now.
Yeah, great question, Ronnie. And in many ways, it builds off of the reporting that you've done in the city over the years. And it's a balance. We're trying to do some things citywide, and then there are some things that we are able to do in very specific parts of the community. And so our citywide work, one example is our Kresge Innovative Projects Detroit initiative. And with that initiative, which is about 5 years or 6 years running, we put out a call for proposals every year citywide. We did it during the pandemic last year, as a matter of fact, that allows neighborhoods to come together around very specific physical revitalization projects and things that they feel are important in order for their neighborhood to thrive. And so we're able to provide them with planning grants as well as implementation grants for those projects. So things like community gardens, renovating a rec center or a recreation space in a neighborhood, those things that really improve quality of life in a way that is important to Detroiters and important to the neighborhoods overall. So those are some of the things we're able to do citywide. And then more specifically, we're working in different parts of the city to kind of pull a lot of different threads together. So our work, for example, in the Livernois McNichols district on the west side of Detroit is looking at how do you kind of put together an integrated arts and culture body of work with corridor redevelopment and small businesses, with housing revitalization and educational supports. And we're doing something similar in the Jefferson Chalmers part of the city on the east side. And so it really is a balance for us. We try and do some things citywide, and then we also try and do things in specific places. But you're right, 139 square miles is a lot to cover. And we're very fortunate also in Detroit to have a number of different foundations that work here, and we're able to partner with them, such as the Kellogg Foundation and the Skillman Foundation and the Ford Foundation. So given the richness of the philanthropic community in the city, we're able to cover a lot of ground together.
It's so beautiful that you are doing that, because I have found that if you even give the neighborhoods a little bit of hope, you get the blighted house torn down, you get the illegal dumping cleaned up, they will then take over and care for that neighborhood. And it doesn't go back to where it was. They just needed someone to listen and someone to care and take a little bit of action. And with that, though, how are you doing all of this in the middle of a pandemic? How is fundraising right now?
Well, we're very fortunate in that when Mr. Kresge founded the Kresge Foundation in 1924, we're an endowed foundation. So we use the proceeds of our endowment every year to invest in the work that we do, not only in Detroit, but across the country. We have been able to maintain our endowment, grow our endowment during the pandemic, and that is how we're able to do what we're doing right now. I work with an amazing team of 7 individuals. They're all working from home, but thanks to technology, we've been able to make grants in the way that is important during this last year, because the need didn't go away. And so we've been able to also, I think, reconfigure how we work, as many others have done, to do as much as we can virtually.
So Wendy, with that, if I can ask you, do you have one story that you can share personally that how what your work has done has touched an individual or a neighborhood that has changed them and keeps you going in some of these dark days?
Oh, wow. There's so many. I'll lift up one big project that we're working on right now, which is the transformation of the former Marygrove College campus in Northwest Detroit. And there we have been able to partner with the University of Michigan School of Education, Starfish Child and Family Services, and the Detroit Public Schools Community District to open a brand new high school on that campus, the school at Marygrove, which when we started the project, it had students learning in person and had to go virtual, as many other schools have done in the city and the region, and of course the United States. But opening a brand new high school next month, despite the pandemic, a new early childhood center is opening. And services have been provided to our youngest learners in the city throughout the pandemic. And so when I think about that project and the lives that have been touched in the last year, but also will continue for the next several years, it's definitely one that I would lift up for your audience to think about. Another project I would lift up, Ronnie, is a lot of the work that we've done with making sure that the city's had adequate resources for COVID testing and now vaccine distribution. And I've had a chance to experience that myself, and just seeing, how those resources have helped make sure that the vaccine as well as some of the testing have gone out to the neighborhoods now. So I know you've heard about a lot that's going on at TCF, but there's a lot going on underway in neighborhoods across Detroit. And I'm very proud of being able to invest in some of that work as well alongside the city.
Well, that's so great about what you and your team are doing in the middle of the pandemic, but also prior to the pandemic and what's to come as well. So for those that are listening and just hearing about your efforts, we know that cities may stop at borderlines, but this is beyond 8 Mile. This comes into all of our communities because we are one community. How can people learn more about your organization and if they want to help as well?
Mm-hmm. So our website is www.kresge.org. There is probably the best place to learn about what we're doing, where we're investing, and where we would look for partners and opportunities to collaborate, not only in the city, but in some of the work that's going on in the region as well.
Wendy, thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking with you, but also learning more about the work that you're doing. Wendy Jackson with us here on the Megacast. She's the managing director for the Detroit program, the Kresge Foundation. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, we will keep the conversation about education going. And next up, we'll be speaking with the president for the Bloomfield Hills School District Board of Education. This is the Megacast.
The only way to beat COVID-19 is to face it.
You can't get too comfortable.
You can't forget the danger.
Wear the mask.
Wear the mask.
Wear the mask. Wash your hands.
Keep a safe distance.
Especially in the next few months.
You know we'll get back to normal.
We'll get back to normal.
We'll get back to normal.
Someday.
But not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But not yet.
But not yet.
Consider virtual gatherings for the holidays.
Curbside food orders.
Grocery delivery.
And shopping local. Shop local. And especially shopping local.
Let's beat this virus. We can if we face it together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Together. Together.
For the latest information, visit oakgov.com/COVID.
COVID-19 has caused many families to fall behind on finances and on groceries. But you're not alone. You shouldn't have to worry about putting food on the table. My Bridges offers access to quality food and income assistance to help families across the state get the food support they need. It's easy to apply and easy to start shopping. Apply for services at michigan.gov/MIBridges. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Michigan, we're calling on you to save lives. Don't ignore it. Don't let it go to voicemail. It's urgent. In fact, it's critical. Because if you've been in close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19, you may have been exposed to the virus. And you could get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department. So please answer the call to learn how to protect yourself, your family, and friends. We're calling on you to stop the spread of COVID-19, to make it safe to reopen businesses and help Michigan move forward. So if you get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department, you may have been exposed to someone with COVID-19. To protect us all, answer the call. Learn more at michigan.gov/containcovid. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
For taking time out of your day to be with us here on the Megacast. You can always catch Tyler and myself here in the studios Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon. You can watch and listen on Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access. If you have cable, check us out, Channel 15 on Comcast, 99 on AT&T. We also want to let you know you can tune us into the radio if you're out driving around or have an old school transistor radio, which my husband still has. 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM, The Biff. And also want to say thank you today to the West Bloomfield Parks Department. Is it the Parks Department?
It is.
It is the Parks Department for allowing us to live stream today's edition of the Megacast on their Facebook page. As we continue on, hope is on the horizon as the vaccine is out there and becoming more widely available to the public, and the kids are now heading back into the classroom. That is a very positive sign. Paul Kolin with us now on the Megacast. He is the president for the Bloomfield Hills School District Board of Education. Paul, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yes, as you just said, we're very excited, as I'm sure most districts are getting our kids back in the classroom, and we, like many surrounding districts, have a projected date as when that's going to happen.
So I will say, before we jump into the interview, Paul, you have a very cool man cave there. You are going to be the envy of so many people watching this right now.
Yes, it's been talked about, not just because obviously, as you know, we've been on Zoom meetings for the last, I don't know how long for our Board of Education meetings. And then I have, obviously at work, I do Zoom meetings as well. So that's always a topic of conversation. This has been sort of like you're right, my last 10 years of travel throughout the country, going to different sporting events, whether it's the Super Bowl, whether it's the World Series, Stanley Cup Finals, all sorts of memorabilia is behind me. So yes, this is my ultimate man cave where I go down to do work and just, decompress. So yes, that's what's behind me right now.
Your quiet space in the house. I will say I made my husband add to his backdrop. He, as most people know, he does sports at Fox 2. And so he's still zooming in as well. And his backdrop, he added like sports stuff and comic book stuff because he's a comic book collector. And I was like, you better have at least one picture of us in the backdrop. background.
And I do, in fairness, I do have my wedding picture is one, aspect of my man cave. So I took, your advice. So it's there as well amongst all my other sports memorabilia.
Yeah, it's a tiny picture, but still.
It's got to be there.
But still, Paul, with that though, I will say one thing about this pandemic is we've all gotten a slight view into individuals' lives, and such as that, you can see that it's a passion. But from someone in your position as the president for the Board of Education, have you found that it's made you a little bit more relatable to the people in the public?
Yeah, I think, one of the things, in my role, I've gotten out, I talk to a significant amount of people in our community. And to your point, one of the things I'm sure you've been hearing is, how education has changed in the last year. A lot of it, a lot of districts, including, ourselves, we had to go virtual once the pandemic hit. And it worked for some. It didn't work for others. For some students, they're going through a lot in terms of mental health. For some students, obviously, learning virtually, may work, but for others it doesn't. So, we over the course of the last year, had to really, really pivot to what, is best for all of our students. So, like many districts, we had a virtual option. We had a hybrid option. Some students at our 6 through 12 could either Zoom in if they didn't feel comfortable going to school or go live. Right now we're in hybrid, and we're looking forward to April 5th, where we're going to go back full time for many of our students, full schedule, and then still offer that virtual option for those students and families that still are uncomfortable going back into the classroom, with the parameters, the safety parameters we have in place.
How do you approach that model, which seems like it's a great model because you're trying to give something to everyone, and we all come from different areas and different needs when it comes to educating the kids, but how do you come up with this model to make it work as best as it can?
Yeah, it's difficult, and kudos to our superintendent and his administration team, both in central office and everyone, including our teachers, to make this work. One of the things 9 months ago, which is very difficult in our hybrid model, is giving the option for students, as an example, in our high school. So any student who doesn't feel comfortable being in the building because from a safety measure can Zoom into the class. So teachers now have to teach almost like twice. They have to teach to students in their class, and they have to teach to a computer, for the students that are home, and that's twice as much work. So it's been a lot of emphasis and a lot of work, for everyone involved. But like most districts, we want to give everyone a choice, whether it's being able to Zoom in, we have a K through 5, virtual, Bloomfield virtual program. And then for those that, just it doesn't work and they're okay with our safety measures we have in place, coming into the brick and mortar, having that option. And what we've just done is we've, kept expanding on it. And then come April 5th, we're going to be in a position where we're going to have, a full day, full 5 days, full schedule for those that want that option. And still, again, the virtual option for those that don't feel comfortable.
So Paul Kolin with us here on the Megacast. He's the president for the Bloomfield Hills School District Board of Education. And with that, Paul, can you talk about you're trying to offer all of these programs, but your resources haven't expanded. How are you trying to manage those two dualities throughout the pandemic?
I mean, it's difficult. It's been difficult. One of the things that we talk about at each board meeting, our superintendent gives a report on a staffing update. And it's not a matter of, obviously leveraging what resources we have now. We're down paraprofessionals. We're down bus drivers. We're down a significant amount. And with, our, human resources team has been working around the clock, as is everyone, to try to staff this appropriately. Yet, we're doing this with the same amount of resources, and it's difficult, as you know. Substitutes is very, very difficult. We upped our daily rate in terms of substitutes and what we're giving, and then people in our community have stepped up. I mean, people in our community who have the licensing or have the requirements have stepped up and have agreed to be substitutes, have stepped up and helped us in trying to find additional resources. Our community has whenever, we talk about, what we need to do to go back in the classroom. One of the main things I'm sure you've been hearing is making sure we get our teachers vaccinated. So our community members have been giving, when they hear of something that's out there, they will send it either myself or Superintendent Watson's way, and our head of our teachers union does a great job with our communications is getting that out to all of our teachers to make sure that, our teachers, the number one priority right now, one of the priorities is making sure all of our teachers get vaccinated as quickly as possible, for that return date of April 5th.
So with that, how are the vaccinations going? Do you have a percentage of the numbers that have been able to get vaccinated? Because one of the things that started this week is now it's opened up to more individuals, which kind of bogs down that system, and we're not through our teachers and healthcare workers yet.
Yeah, at our last meeting, and I know it's gone up, we had 65% of the teachers in our district, get at least the first shot, and then by April 5th, which is our a date, and one of the things we factored in for that, is that a good percentage of our teachers, I can't commit that it's going to be all of them, will have had the opportunity to have been vaccinated, and hopefully a lot of them will have had the second shot by that date that we're going to open up full time. Full schedule. So that's, again, as everyone's been saying, it's been difficult. It's been opened up more, when there's opportunities. I know that our superintendent and our administration have been working around the clock to try to find, to get opportunities for our teachers. We have been working with Oakland Health. We said that our high school, we'd be willing to have our high school be a vaccination site, if possible. I know we put that idea out there, and whatever needs to be done, I think that's going to be a high priority for our district, and it continues to be as we move more and more toward our full reopen plan on April 5th.
So we know that we're a year into this, and it's been a struggle for so many people and so many organizations, especially in the education arena. People such as yourself and the superintendents and the teachers, they've been working around the clock to try to offer solutions to all of the families. But at the end of the day, you can't make everyone happy. But is there a positive, do you think, that came out of this pandemic that will continue post-pandemic?
I think, one of the positives that has definitely come out, is this whole, and it's not just education, it's virtual, this whole idea of using Zoom and using a way to connect more, so you don't have to be in person. So as an example, I know our PTOs who have had meetings now where they used to have, like, let's say 10 people, 15 people attend in the morning or whatever session because people, had other priorities and couldn't get out to go in the building, now had, close to like 100, 150. I know meetings now, if you want to just have a quick meeting, instead of saying, all right, let's go meet in X location, you just have a Zoom call. So it gives that more flexibility. And, in addition to, in the future, and I know, Michigan weather is not going to change. So to the extent, people can still have some of these connections when we need to close schools for snow days, for cold days, etc. You still have all these opportunities to gather now on Zoom calls that I think going forward, when we go back to the brick and mortar schedule, I think that the use of this technology is going to enhance the experience going forward. I think that's one of the lessons learned, in the last year, and it's accelerated the enhancement of this technology to use it as a supplement to what was going on in the past.
Yeah, so a hybrid model may work best going forward in the future, and we're all learning to do that. Paul Kolin with us here on the Megacast. He's the president for the Bloomfield Hills School District Board of Education. Paul, I know we haven't talked with you for several months, so anything else that maybe we didn't touch on in your school district that you want to add before we say goodbye?
No, well, again, I just want to, just reemphasize, everyone who has done their part. It's been a long year. I mean, I think it's just been a difficult year all across the board. So whether or not it's been our superintendent, his team, teachers, admin, and our community members, everyone, and I'm sure, you haven't heard this, this is not unique to Bloomfield, has offered suggestions and done everything they can to do what's in the best interest of all students. And I think that's what I've seen over the last several months in the last year. It's not just people just complaining, it's people offering solutions. Like, all right, it goes to the end, it's what's the problem that we need to fix so we can get our students back in the classroom, and how could we all collaborate together to make that happen? And that's been appreciated by, not just, the school board, but the district and the community as a whole.
So this has been a huge learning curve for us as adults. We get kind of set in our ways, and this is how it's always been done. What do you think has been the advantage for some of the students?
Again, getting to the point I just raised earlier, I think it's the advantage to the students is, again, the additional use of technology to enhance, what's going to happen in the future. I mean, we could all talk about, a lot of our students, have obviously learned resilience, through this. It's been a hard year, and I can't imagine any year that's going to be tougher than this. So as we come out of this, and they're moving, in the future moving forward, I think some of those skills that they've learned, to get through this year as best they can is going to help them in the future when they come across similar type obstacles. So I think that's the message, one of the messages that I've learned in the last year.
Yeah, some of these students have taught us a few lessons along the way as adults. We want to say congratulations to the girls' gymnastics team winning the league championships. Yes. So the students have continued to thrive throughout this pandemic.
Yeah, and then just finally getting to that point, I know a lot of our students, they've set up, sort of like tutoring programs. I know one student group called Helping Hands, they're based out of, they're Bloomfield Hill students that have gone into the community and have helped through this last year. Students by tutoring them. I know there's other students that set up mentoring programs. So our students have not only been resilient, but have gone above and beyond to help, their fellow community members, to get through this, and we appreciate them, and accolades to all of them as well.
Well, and accolades to you and your team as well. We know it's not an easy time to be a member of the Board of Education. Paul Kolin with us here on the Megacast. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, we'll round out the show. Speaking with the Executive Festival Director for the Murals and the Market Program. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
This may seem uncomfortable, but so is being hooked to an IV, sleeping in a hospital bed, and fighting for your life. When it comes to COVID-19, comfort is not as important as saving lives. Wearing a mask can greatly reduce the chance of spreading the virus. So mask up, Michigan, every time you leave home.
The only way to beat COVID-19 is to face it.
You can't get too comfortable.
You can't forget the danger.
Wear the mask.
Wear the mask. Wear the mask. Wash your hands.
Keep a safe distance.
Especially in the next few months.
We'll get back to normal.
We'll get back to normal. We'll get back to normal.
Someday.
But not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But not yet.
But not yet.
Consider virtual gatherings for the holidays.
Curbside food orders.
Grocery delivery.
And shopping local.
Shop local.
And especially shopping local.
Let's beat this virus. We can if we face it together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Together.
Together.
Together. Together.
Together. Together.
For the latest information, visit oakgov.com/COVID.
We appreciate your time here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios alongside Mr. Tyler Keefe. Just about 10 minutes left here in the show. And we are going to round out the day by bringing in, Rula David here with us. She is the Executive Festival Director for the Murals and the Market. So great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me, yes.
So I have used to work downtown right there in Eastern Market, and also as a person who has worked in the city of Detroit. And it's been amazing just over the past 10 years, 5 years even, to watch how the murals have come together in Eastern Market. There have always been murals, but a lot of them were illegal and not cohesive. And now it is a destination spot. How did you go about making it so?
So, in Eastern Market, there were, they called them super graphics. They were murals that were created in the 50s and 60s. Eastern Market has a robust history of public art. When you talk about like the old high-low that you can see from Gratiot and some of the old watermelons and sign painting, come like around the 2000 mark or even before then, graffiti kind of took over the market. So that was all done illegally. It is still a form of an art form that is celebrated throughout the world. However, it was out of a necessity and not out of like kind of a curatorial effort. And so Eastern Market really wanted to talk to us. We had produced mural festivals or helped produce mural festivals, us as in One Time Run, which is our organization. We used to be based in Eastern Market around the world. And so they came to us and asked us if we would be interested in producing a mural festival here in Detroit. And we jumped on it. We were so excited to kind of bring it home. And we had our first festival in 2015 and went through till 2019.
And since then, we just went through a pandemic. How did you survive that?
So we actually did not have murals in the market did not happen last year. It's usually every September. And a lot of the money that we raise is through foundation support. We saw that a lot of the money that was being used for arts and culture or different arts programming was diverted for helping people kind of cope and survive through the pandemic, whether still in the arts, but more like helping artists kind of get through this crazy time. And so we decided to put a pause as well and not try to go fight for the same dollars as the rest of the artists. But what we did is like, there's no other better activity to social distance than walking around and seeing murals. So it's outdoors, it's spread out, and we really encouraged people to go and see the over 200 murals we have in Eastern Market. We also hosted things on our Instagram Live. So every Saturday, our friend Jason Hall from Ride Detroit, formerly from Slow Roll, would host a talk with an artist from around the world or somebody from our organization to discuss the murals. So we were able to divert and still have like robust programming, but no like live mural painting in the market last year.
How much has it increased the economic value to how people come to Eastern Market just because of the artwork and because of these murals?
So, that's a really great question, because when we first started the murals, ultimately, like the goal was to bring awareness around food equity and food availability in Detroit. In 2015, we still had not had a large, like big box grocery store. There was no Whole Foods, there was no Myers. A lot of the grocery stores in the city of Detroit offer kind of subpar quality fruits and vegetables. So the goal was to let people know that Eastern Market was there and for people to come and get their fresh fruits and vegetables. And we found that our campaign with the murals was very successful. We also found that people were just used to thinking of Eastern Market as just the sheds. And when we started painting murals throughout the entire district, we were seeing people walk in areas that we had never seen them walk before. And obviously with foot traffic and with people walking around, you have increased security and safety and a sense of like freedom and safety that you probably didn't have before. And with that came a lot of development and a lot of interest in the neighboring areas. And so that was not our initial goal. We saw that being a side product, but in overall, like for the Eastern Market District, it was a great like side product.
Rula David with us here on the Megacast. She's the Executive Festival Director for the Murals in the Market. So when we're talking about the murals and some of the contests that you do, because I know one was, hey, can you spot all 150 plus murals in the Eastern Market District? When we're talking about the district, what area specifically are we talking about? Because just as you mentioned, it continues to expand.
Yeah, so we consider Eastern Market about 1 square mile. We think of it from Mac to Gratiot, and then all the way up to Shane or St. Aubin or Shane, or not Shane. Yeah, Shane. So that's kind of like the district that we've envisioned, and we've actually put some murals above that. So like up Gratiot, kind of like we spent a year where we were trying to really encourage like the spokes that drove people to the market. So if you're driving from the east side or from Southwest or from different areas of like, what was your first experience as you came into the market? But the market is much bigger than you think. The market, it has, you know, where it comes to like food processing and food manufacturing, it goes into like, it kind of spider veins out through the entire area. And I really encourage people, you can go to muralsinthemarket.com. You can download our map, and we have all current murals there where you can go and explore kind of not only the ones in the district, but the ones surrounding.
We all take advantage and appreciate the art that is in Eastern Market because it makes it so unique. How can we support your efforts?
Well, you know, we used to we've done crowdfunding programs in the past. We've had different types of ways where people could donate to sponsor a wall, and each year our ask is something that's a little bit different. But one of the biggest ways that we do it is when the mural festival is actually happening, we sell prints of the artist's work on our website, onetimerun.com. And if you just go there and buy art from the artist, that's probably one of the best ways that you can support the festival. Also going to Eastern Market and letting them know that you love the murals and you're making a small donation on the murals' behalf. I think that would be really wonderful. Eastern Market is a huge partner, supporter, proponent of public art in that district. And from what we've seen is that the art that's happened in Eastern Market really has created a brand for Detroit. And people want murals in their offices, in their backyards, in their neighborhoods because of kind of like the same feeling and vibe that they get from Eastern Market.
And of course, there's been a big debate in the city of Detroit about graffiti, and Mayor Duggan and his platform to rid the city of illegal graffiti. But we want to point out that this is sanctioned artwork. It's not illegal. But on top of that, so many people do want to come and take pictures. But what is the copyright arena when it comes to taking pictures of the artwork that's in Eastern Market? Because we want to support the artists that are doing the work.
Mm-hmm. Sure, that's also a great question. And it's a problem that we come across very often. If the artwork you want to use is, we call them like backdrops to people's lives. You want to have your engagement photos, your wedding photos, you and your friends are out there photographing in front of the murals. You want to take personal photos for yourself to share with your friends and family. We 150% encourage that. However, if you're going to use the photo to sell a product, to promote yourself or your business, to promote a different product, there is a copyright that's attached and the artist needs to be compensated. We actually we actually didn't do this lawsuit, but there was a lawsuit that was filed against Mercedes-Benz with 4 of the artists where cars were parked in front of their murals. The artist prevailed and won. It was a national lawsuit because Mercedes was trying to file a precedence to say that there's no copyright for any art that exists outside. And the artist proved them wrong and they won. So if you are going to do something with a car advertisement or advertisement of any product, all you have to do is just reach out to the artist, ask for permission. Depending on what the product is, if it's a small business, I'm sure they don't mind. If it's something larger, obviously they want to be compensated. But if it's for you and your friends and your family, please go out there, take photos, share on your social media, hashtag murals in the market, let us see it, and we'll repost on our social media.
Arula, just about another minute here with you on the Megacast. When we're talking about the artwork too, how do you pick your artist? Are they mostly local?
So we obviously have an online platform where we work with thousands of artists at onetimerun.com. And so what we try to do is have a mix of 50-50 artists that come in from around the world to 50% artists that are local. And the reason why there's so much local talent. I mean, we could probably fill the whole roster with local artists, but we feel like it's important to bring in artists from other places. almost like a mentorship program for some of the artists that are here locally. These are artists that travel the world to paint murals, and they learn a lot of techniques and build relationships that they can use when they go to other cities. Detroit artists, that is, go to other cities to paint murals and to have exhibitions and what have you. So we've seen it as being this really great kind of cohesive partnership. The artists are selected based on a curatorial team here at One Time Run. There's no application process that happens, just because we want to make sure the content and what we're looking for and the representation of artists for Detroit is there.
Rula David with us here on the Megacast. She's the Executive Festival Director for Murals in the Market. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, and hopefully we'll be back this September, so please stay tuned.
We are looking forward to it because Eastern Market is a gem here, Tyler, in our backyard. And as someone who has been through more than her fair share of abandoned buildings, I can tell you the talent is deep and great, and Detroit has been a backdrop for so many of these artists. So it's great to see that they have a legal platform to share their talent, because the Eastern Market wouldn't be Eastern Market without the murals. So it's been great to have all of you with us here. We're going to drop out just a little bit early so we can join a meeting in progress. But again, this has been the Oakland County Megacast.